It's a relationship that has neither ended up serving Pakistan well nor serving American interests well. Where they are deployed and what is the use and what is their capability. So, you're not fooling anybody by saying these things. There are some newspapers, you know exactly what they're going to write. Including one in this town. And the people who believe that they were the custodians and the shapers of India lose ground in India, the more actually some of this debate is going to come outside. Because they're not winning in India. So they will try and win outside India. What was a temporary provision of the constitution was finally put to rest. There's a big song and dance about internet being cut. Now, if we've reached a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say?
The United States just released funds for Pakistan related to, he says, purchase of F-16, but I would like to remind them it was not purchase, it was maintenance of F-16 fleet. So the question is, how is the US policy towards India evolving? Does it differ along Republican and Democratic lines? And I guess he wants to know that in press, at least, we keep going back and forth. There are high moments, and then there are moments like this F-16 moment. And what would be your opinion about that?
I think it would be, today I can say, by and large, there is a bipartisan view of India. It's not that one party is strongly for and another is against it. And to a large extent, politics is also very individual. So some leaders, some prominent figures in each party would take more interest, others may not take the same level of interest. So I would attach no sense of partisanship at all when it comes to India. The second question, really the numbers question, which is in a sense the US relationship with Pakistan and the military relationship that the US has had. Now you all know that this is not something of recent making, it has gone on for many years. And you also know that very honestly it's a relationship that has neither ended up serving Pakistan well nor serving American interests well. So it is really for the United States today to reflect whether this, what are the merits of this relationship, what do they get by keeping it continuing. Because at the end of the day, for someone to say, I'm doing this because it is for counter-terrorism, when you are talking of an aircraft like the capability of the F-16, everybody knows where they are deployed and what is the use and what is their capability. So, you're not fooling anybody by saying these things. So, the point is, we really think countries finally make their choices based on their own interests. And I would make a case, if I were to speak to an American policymaker, I would really make a case saying, look, what you are doing, forget about us for a moment, it's actually not good for you, what you are doing. Reflect on the history, look at the last 20 years of where this relationship has taken you, and how much, what a cost you have paid.
In the past few years, the Indian-American community has shown its political strength in countering anti-India forces. We are also countering these forces legally and in the courts. But US educational institutions are still under anti-India influence. Is there more we can do with exchange of thoughts and ideas between US universities and India's true ethos?
Wonderful, very good.
Since all of you follow what is happening in India, you would all be familiar with the fact that at home too, there are very intensive debates about what we are, what, where should we, where do we belong, what should be our aspiration, what is politically correct, what is not. And in a globalized world, the sort of spread of this, the extension of this debate is inevitable to happen outside your country. I mean, debates are no longer conducted within national boundaries. And because we also have a community here, Indian American community, that also is a reason to some extent why the debate carries on. This, to my mind, is a very important issue, because it is an issue which will define in India what is India about. That bit which I read out to you about from Amit Tripathi. Are we proud of our civilization, or are we in denial of our civilization? Are there periods in our history we want to whitewash, or are we honest about our history? If you look at, when we speak about democracy, is democracy actually an exercise of, expressions of opinion, or is it that actually in the name of political correctness, opinions which you don't like are suppressed? And to my mind, this challenge of what is right, what is wrong, what is correct, what is not, what is legitimate, what is illegitimate, I think this is a very, very big issue. When I look, you spoke about American universities. It's not just what I see written in some, by some people. I look at media. There are some newspapers, you know exactly what they're going to write. Including one in this town. My point is there are these biases, there are these efforts really to determine, how I put it. Look, the more India goes its way, and the people who believe that they were the custodians and the shapers of India lose ground in India, the more actually some of this debate is going to come outside. Because they're not winning in India. So they will try and win outside India, or try and shape India from outside. So this is something which we need to be aware of. It is important to contest. It is important because the most of the Americans, they would not know what, sort of the nuances and the complexities of our world. So it's important, not to sit back, not to let other people define you. That is something which I feel as a community is very important for us.
Kashmir situation is often misrepresented or misunderstood in Washington. What is the current understanding of US lawmakers about Kashmir and terrorism there?
This is a very inadvertent but a very logical follow-up of the previous question, because it's a very good example. If there is a terrorist incident, and it doesn't matter of what faith the person who's killed. If there are Indian soldiers or Indian policemen who are abducted or killed, if there are people working for the government or citizens going about their business who lose their lives, how often do you hear people talking about it, pronouncing on it? In fact, look at the media coverage. What does the media cover, what does the media not cover? And that is how actually opinions and perceptions are shaped. There was a big song and dance about internet being cut. Okay. Now, if we have reached a stage where you say an internet cut is more dangerous than the loss of human lives, then what can I say? A very, again, if you look at the whole 370 issue, I mean, it's a fundamental, maybe I should not be looking in your direction. I ask you all to, just a very basic point. What was a temporary provision of the Constitution was finally put to rest, this was supposed to be act of majority. This was supposed to be majoritarian. Now tell me, what was happening in Kashmir was not majoritarian. So, I think the way facts are slanted, things are played out, what is right, what is wrong is confused. This is actually politics at work. And again, we should not let it rest. We should contest it, we should educate, we should message, we should shape the narrative. This is a competitive world. We need to get our messages out. That is my message to you. That, we are not serving our country well, or our beliefs well, or our, or even our sense of what is right and wrong well, by staying out of these debates. I think if we have opinions, we must express them, we must share it with people, we must educate others on what is right and what is wrong. And I honestly believe that if you look at the whole 370, the Jammu and Kashmir situation, to me it's mind-boggling that something whose merits were so obvious should actually, that there should even be people who could think in a different way.